Welcome everyone to Monday Match Analysis. Today's episode is a conversation with Sophie Amiach, WTA, World Feed, and other outlets, analyst, commentator. Big fan of her work, how she talks the game, how she thinks the game. Worked with her at the US Open, which is how we first met. She's also a former top 100 pro, Australian Open quarterfinalist in both singles and doubles. And I wanted to, talk about Charleston, the final, a little bit, because it was a lot more interesting than anything that happened on the ATP side of things last week, in my opinion. But also, it's been such a interesting time on the WTA Tour. The last month with Barty's retirement, Swiatek's rise, 3 straight Masters 1000 titles, the way some of the players who had great 2021s have struggled at the onset of 2022, and also just so much young rising talent. So it's a very, very wide-ranging WTA-focused conversation, starting with the Charleston final, going to Iga Swiatek, and beyond. And I think you're going to enjoy this one. So we will get to Sophie after a quick shout out to PlayYourCourt. PlayYourCourt is the place to go if you're looking for a local coach, practice partner, or match. The number one reason people quit tennis is because they can't find anyone to play with. And that doesn't make any sense. And I don't want that to happen to you. So I've arranged a 50% discount for you to join the PlayYourCourt community at the link below. It'll be in the description, playyourcourt.com/Gill Gross. That is playyourcourt.com/Gill Gross. Without further ado, here is Sophie Amiach. Welcome to Monday Match Analysis. Great to see you, and thanks for coming on.
It's great to see you too. And yeah, I'm very happy to be on your show. Love it.
You've forgiven me for the salad incident, I think.
I'm not sure about that. Yes, it's just, you just have to bring it back, right? Bring it back into my memory. Yes, somebody, there was the stories that this salad disappeared. That I was really, I was dying for. And I opened the fridge and it's gone. And I'm like, there's only one person who could have taken that. And we all pointed the fingers towards you. And you're like, it wasn't me. I'm like, okay, all right. We still don't know who it was.
Still a mystery. So I want to start with it open-ended. We have, Bencic and Jebeur Charleston final, always a fantastic event. They have a great field, especially for a 500, and everybody seems to love it. What did you think made the difference in that match, in a 3-set win for Belinda Bencic?
Look, I think Belinda Bencic tennis is definitely resurfacing in the way that she played at the Olympics. I think taking the ball so early, the open stance backhand, the open stance forehand. I think the serve is clicking, the movement. I think physically she's probably in the best shape right now. And that showed really during, I would say during the clay courts in Charleston for the first tournament. She had, pretty much 2 or 3 days only on clay, which when she was interviewed, she said, maybe that's the way to go. It's not to think too much and just go straight from hard to clay. Normally it takes a little time for everybody to get used to. But apparently she was just dominating. I love the return of serve. The return of serve down the line is special. And, I think people are probably tired of hearing me commentating because I repeat myself a lot. I said, listen, down the line return, further point away from the server. Just remember that as a straight line. It is setting up so many points for her, the way that she's returning. And, we talk about the return, but the return is the dominating factor, I think, for success right now. Swiatek being one of them. I mean, we can go on and talk about her return serve and the percentage of point that she wins on the second serve, especially. So I think it was that. I think Jebeur, to me, was a little flat. In the first set, she was down 2-1, was broken in the long game. I mean, I thought for me, she started the match really well. I love the way that she started the match because she was herself trying to be really close to the line and really trying to take time away from, Bencic, who herself is her game, to be really close to the line, take the ball early. She was giving her a little bit of that medicine, but then she started to retract back a little further from that line and things changed, the momentum, and just didn't feel like Jebeur was excited as I thought she could be to be in the final. Or maybe she was, but just wasn't her day physically. And then, kind of put things together to get back into a match.
Yeah, Jebeur spent a lot of the match frustrated. And then I felt like Bencic wasn't so happy with the level that she was bringing for a lot of the match. Her forehand kind of went off a little bit in the second set. But
kind of.
Yeah.
It's like everywhere. It's like, whoa, where is that? But that is where, I think the forehand is really where the weakest link of Bencic. So, I mean, good on Jebeur to start really creating opportunities because she was not in a match.
Yeah, it should have been straight sets, really. I mean, there were a couple of routine forehands that Bencic couldn't execute on, and it would have been straight sets. But it goes to a third. And I think the fitness is the biggest thing that stands out to me, because it felt like Bencic was the player more willing to stay solid and move into the corners, and Jebeur a little bit edgy. And whenever she was under pressure from a movement standpoint, it felt like she couldn't stay in the rallies and she had to dictate.
Look, I love Ons Jabeur. I think she is a phenomenal player, and it's so good to see that since, Vardy is no more on the WTA tour the hologic WTA tour, to find out that there's a player who has that sense of touch and the slice and, a little bit of variety in the women's game. So I love her to death. I love her tennis. I really do think, and I've said that for the last couple of years, I really do think that she could get better physically. And it's not much. It's just for her to be quicker on the court. I think that will enable her to also get herself set up better for shots. And not only that, to go to distance and, not be maybe tired during the match. I mean, she's in great shape already. I mean, you're not in the top 10 without being in great shape. But I really do think that she is lacking on some areas and she could be better. And that is, to me, the difference, like you mentioned exactly with Bencic. I mean, you look at Bencic, she's played doubles, not only there, but in the tournament preceding that tournament in Indian Wells. Of course, didn't play very well in Indian Wells, had a ton of time to practice. But she played doubles in Charleston, got to the semis, a couple of rounds of doubles. She said it helped tremendously because, again, you're going from hard to clay. You want to play a lot of matches. So I think that being in better shape helps you mentally also, because you can last.
Yeah, absolutely. And in the shot selection, even with Jebeur, maybe can add a little bit more margin if she feels like she can trust her legs a little bit more. I think that was well said. And you see it so often that those last couple percentage points of improvement are available by way of some extra fitness. So we'll keep an eye on that. And for Bencic, it's now, time to kind of play in her least favorite time of the year, the clay. And the question is, okay, well, she's just won Charleston. It's her first clay court title. Can she carry it over now? My question is, it's green clay. Is that at all the same? I mean, we know that there are going to be some differences, but how much stock do you put in what a player is able to do on the green clay when thinking about what they might be able to do on the red?
Yeah, I relate the green clay of Charleston with the indoor clay of Stuttgart almost. It's like the tournament that is going to be played in Europe, which is indoor. It's faster, there's no doubt. It's faster than the red clay playing outdoor, it's in Madrid. And Madrid being a little bit faster because it's in high altitudes, the ball flies. But, when you get to Rome is really what reflects the French Open. And Roland Garros has his own clay, weather, everything together. It's definitely not probably what Bencic loves the most, especially players who like to take the ball so early off the bounce, don't have as much topspin on the ball. I think it's going to be tougher for her. But listen, we've seen Ostapenko, winning the French, and topspin was not anything in our book. So if she takes the ball early enough and you have that much power, that's one thing. Not sure if the power is, quite similar. It's for sure not quite similar to Ostapenko.
Yeah, it's more of, right. It's more about redirection, right? And taking time away. So I agree with you. I think I don't think it's necessarily going to carry over. Her other semifinal is in Madrid, the other quick clay court. So my thing with Bencic is Wimbledon, and I'm surprised she hasn't made it past round 4. And I feel like she should with her game style. So maybe that's coming up.
Yeah. I mean, I would think that, the room for progression on that surface is there. She has the game to do it. Especially with the return of serve. I mean, it's huge the way she's returning. I really love it. So yeah, I think grass is going to be more apropos for a game. We'll see. All
right. Well, you were at Indian Wells in Miami, and the story of March was Iga Swiatek announcing herself as a dominant champion. You could go back before that. She won Doha, back-to-back Masters 1000 titles. What's the biggest difference between this year Iga and last year Iga? Because last year Iga was good, made the round of 16 at all 4 slams. She broke into the top 10, but now 20 years old, 2022, it's just jumped up to a whole nother level. What do you think were the ingredients for that?
I think the ingredients are mastering the little things around her tennis. And when you hear and listen to what our sports psychologist, Daria Abramovich, talks about, it is about approaching matches, approaching tournament, rigorously have very good hygiene as far as what you eat, when you eat. It gets so boring after a while because she's eating the exact same thing. And I don't know if you saw some of the footage at the end of the tournament when she won Miami. She was served as she's recovering on the bike. She was served pizza, because she was like, you see her face going, yeah. Really have that. That was followed by ribs that night, I think. And that is something that, for I think the last 3 weeks or 4 weeks, she had not even touched. I mean, so I think it's all those little things. I think mentally, the belief, the confidence, obviously built up by the amount of matches that she won. She's at 17 right now in a row. And also really the way that she's realistically looking at her tennis, knowing that it was really for her in 3 days to become number 1 from number 2, which is what she reached after Indian Wells. She became number 2 player in the world. And now all of a sudden she's propulsed, to number 1 because of Barty retiring from the tour. She knows that it's a coincidence. It's not like, I just happened to become number 1 by virtue of my results. Yes, in a way, but she's very aware that it would have taken probably a little bit longer time if Barty was to continue. So I like the way that, her mind is thinking. I think that the way that she's also endorsing the pressure of all of a sudden, that one match saying you win the match, you're number 1 in the world. It's like, whoa, at 20, it's pretty amazing. And she says that, she said, I don't know what's the future. I mean, I know that at some point something's going to happen. I don't know how I'm going to react. I've never been in that situation. All I know is I'm preparing myself the best possible way to work it psychologically to be able to keep performing to that level. But so I think that, and also switching with Thomas, Thomas, our new coach, Witkrowski, who used to be coaching Agnieszka Radwanska, which I think is a great combination, a great association. I mean, in all, she has put every single thing and department together, and then you have to, on a daily basis, you have to do the work. And, Daria Abramovich said, even on a worst day, when she talks about Iga, okay, she's open-minded and able to process things, even on her worst day playing tennis, working out. So, that you have to have a certain kind of player. And Barty was the same, very open player, very, open-minded. I think it takes that kind of mindset to reach that level. I mean, I would never know, obviously, because I've never been to that level, but I can only imagine what it takes, to be to that number one, as the 28th player in the world to ever get there. So I think that's a combination of all this. Yeah.
For those watching who may not know, 15-year pro career, top 100 player, Sophie Amiach. So she's being, I mean, not to Iga's level, but still an amazing world-class level.
Thank you.
Of course. But on hygiene, by the way, did you see her ask for room temperature water?
Yeah, of course.
You're a big proponent, right? No cold water.
She's not the only one. It's just they're starting to all think that, cold is not that great for, especially European. You have to remember that in Europe,
right?
We do not. I'm French originally, but for some of the viewers who don't know, we don't drink anything colder than room temperature because it's actually not very good for your body to just have this cold, whatever liquid coming through. So that's something that European. In America, more ice is better.
Right. That's why I bring it up, because I remember
Yeah.
at the Open, the water, it was not. Yes, you were a proponent of the non-cold drinks. Now,
I do like a cold beer though.
Well, I like an iced coffee at the Open. But yeah, and a beer is okay. Yeah. What about technically? Do you feel like she's more aggressive now, or is that a little bit overblown? Was she always kind of flattening it out and taking it early? Because she said that a little bit, and I think a lot of people have talked about that. So do you think that is a little bit? Do you think that's on point, or do you think that's a little bit overblown?
No, I mean, I think that she was aggressive when she won the French Open. Listen, everybody was looking at how quickly and how early she was taking the ball, especially with, the amount of, especially, I mean, she takes the backhand so early. I mean, it's a very quick, preparation, or it takes it so early and flatten that one out. The forehand's got a lot more topspin, just because of her grip situation that is very, very overpronounced. Western grip, so that is a lot. But what I'm seeing is the mentality is the shot selection, the mentality, the movement is ridiculous. I think her and Alcaraz are like blowing my mind away as far as movement. I have never thought that any human being could be that quick, that fast to react, that quick to, how about a 180 when she turns around and gets the ball back. It's just crazy how quick she is when you play behind her, how she's able to, go with the outside foot to that ball. A lot of that is, to me, work, definitely. Because, I mean, yeah, you can be quick, but this is way over, anything that I could even think about. I've never seen anybody that quick. Even Serena in her best days, in the 2015, never that quick. Very quick on the first step maybe, but never that quick to come back and forth when you're wrong-footed. The only thing that I could see that I feel her game can get better is, one, I think that she could develop a little more of a slice backhand and use that here and there, because she has a drop shot and she does it, letting go that left hand and hitting the drop shot. So she knows and has feel for that. I wouldn't mind seeing that on clay a little bit. And the first serve, I think the technique on the serve is not to par for her level. I mean, and she's number one in the world. Hello. I mean, here I am saying, but the good thing is, I think there is room for progression. I think the serve needs to be addressed. I don't like the technique when she comes down, opens a little bit the racket face somehow. It looks awkward. And if you see the serve, the toss is sometimes too much to the left. She falls left. The second serve kick is beautiful because she gets a racket there, and the toss being to the left. She loves to go low to high with that racket head. And that's probably one of the best with Barty at the time. But I think that's, for the rest, and there's nothing to say. The way that she's able to take the ball early, the cross courts, backhand short, the deep forehand, the depth that she had throughout these tournaments. I'm really amazed that she was able to sustain that kind of game mentally at 20 and physically I mean, exceptional, really.
Pretty incredible, easy to forget because of how quickly she burst onto the scene a couple of years ago, that she's only 20. Unbelievable. And I like that you highlighted some of the areas that you think she could improve. I felt like Danielle Collins at the Australian Open kind of picked on her serve a little bit, and that was one of the main keys in her last high profile loss. But you also mentioned Barty's retirement, and that's why March felt so interesting, like a passing of the torch a little bit, or a changing of the guard, which people have been imagining has happened on the men's side for so long, and it never happens, and everybody imagines sometimes that it happens, and it just doesn't. But here in this case, I think it did actually kind of happen. So now the question becomes, as soon as Swiatek started playing as well as she did in Doha, I was thinking, okay, I want to see her play Barty now, and we're not going to see it. Who is going to be the player or the players who rise up as Swiatek's main rival? And when I say rival, of course, it's not about, bad blood or anything like that. It's just about, who is going to threaten her, because as of now, and yes, she has much more to accomplish. She's still at one major and all that is true. But at the moment, it looks like she's going to be a dominant number one to the likes that we haven't really seen outside of Barty and Serena in recent history. Who's going to rise up and challenge her?
Yeah, see, I think that she was very dominant in those last three tournaments, no doubt. I don't believe that she's going to be, I don't know, I can be totally wrong, but I think that the rivalry is all there. I don't think there's one player. I think there's many. I want to see how she plays against a Barbara Krejcikova, who's going to use some slice here and there. I want to see how she deals with, the slices from some of the players to the forehand, because that to me is something that's going to be a difficult one to play all the time to that level. That's probably, and I want to see who's going to attack that serve a little more, who's going to be a little more aggressive even on the first serve, because the second serve is the most difficult one. So rivalry, I don't know if there's going to be ever in women's tennis, the rivalry that we've seen really in the era when I played with the Martina and Chris. I think that's gone. It's the depth of women's tennis is way too big and too grand to have this rivalry. I love to see an Osaka and a Swiatek, rivalry would be nice, but I actually really enjoyed the depth of women's tennis and just pretty much throwing darts, into draws to find out who's going to win this one and who's going to win that one. I don't think anybody could have predicted that Swiatek was going to win Doha, Indian Wells, and Miami. And if somebody did, then I want to congratulate them.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Right. So I don't think that per se it's going to be a rivalry, but I think they all I think each and every one of them in the top 10, top 12. Think about Ostapenko, the way she's been playing. She's won the French. She knows how to win on clay. Krejcikova last year was incredible. Saved match points against Maria Sakkari in the semifinals. Sakkari's another one. She's tough contestant. Talk about fitness and movement. Cultivate, Collins, Jebeur. Let's see that slice with Jebeur on clay. Jebeur was very close also to go even deeper at the French last year. That's what's fun to me.
So you're not ready to count out the field against Iga on clay at all?
On clay, on hard, on anything. I really am not. We missed some big name. Krejcikova not playing.
Badosa.
And Badosa is incredible too on all surfaces. I really do think that for her to achieve what she's achieved with the competition that there is, pretty incredible. But again, we're missing Krejcikova in the mix, which I would love to see back, after her elbow problem. I hope that she's going to be able to defend her title, and Garbine Muguruza, if she finds again a way towards winning. Same thing with Sabalenka. Those are players who could take time away from somebody like Iga Swiatek, it's going to be more difficult to get organized. Not sure on clay, though. On clay, I'm not sure.
I think that's the question, Sophie, because she does all this on hard court, and now she goes to her favorite surface. Yeah. It's kind of like what's happening here.
What is her favorite surface? Because she won a major on clay. That's her favorite surface, or she just achieved what nobody thought she could achieve. So, I understand the majors are going to be more important and say, well, that's her favorite surface because she won on clay.
And Rome last year.
Yeah, but I mean, look what she did here. I mean, okay, so she wins the U.S. Open. Which one is her favorite surface now?
No. Well, right. So the jury's still out. It's still very early in her career. And
I think like the same thing happened with Barty, when she won her first major was at the French Open. Everybody thought it was Wimbledon, and except, probably her best friend who said to her, I always thought that the first major you would win would be on clay. Everybody thought it was going to be Wimbledon. It was going to be on something faster. But then again, everybody was wrong. So I think if you're going to be number one and at number one ranking to date, you have to be obviously in the top 10 to play on everything and to be almost as good on every surface.
And you've given Krejcikova her due, which I like. I like that because sometimes I think she hasn't gotten the hype and the respect from the masses that I think she has deserved for her tremendous play last year. So yeah, hopefully she comes back strong. Muguruza and Sabalenka, two players who, if we predicted ourselves having this conversation last year, you'd think that we'd be talking about them as the main contenders who are having, the tremendous 2022s that they appeared set up to have. And it just hasn't happened. Where's your panic level on both of those players?
Well, I mean, I don't think anybody should be panicking at the level that they still are. Okay. I mean, Muguruza is number 10, Sabalenka is number 4. I mean, let's not go to panic. I think it's more of, for me, Muguruza has always been somebody that I looked at saying, I just wish she was happier when she was playing tennis. I feel like she gets into this really struggle in her inner self. Does she look happy to you? I mean, not that you have to be happy, Larry.
No, it's a great point. But do you think Guadalajara was the exception, where she looked like she was enjoying herself a little bit more there? Because I felt like that might have been the reason she played so well.
I agree. She was much more relaxed, maybe because, the Spanish speaking, nation, and felt a little bit more at home. But I feel like, the stress that looks on her face when she's playing, it just, and I know that's maybe, that's her, but I thought that when she played her best, then she seemed to be a little bit happier to me, but I could be wrong. I think that, Conchita Martinez helped that a little bit to relax. But, it's almost to me that the pressure that she's putting on her own self, it's like, how big is that pressure? How much can you take that pressure and continue playing to the level you're playing? Or are you going to have to try to, almost program yourself to not put that much pressure on yourself? Because there's only one way for Muguruza, and the only way for her is to win. And I understand that you shouldn't accept losing, but there is a way of you putting the pressure on yourself that is, I mean, she stresses me out when I watch her play.
Yeah.
I'm stressed watching her play.
Do you think that explains why she's played some of the best tennis in her career when the expectations have been lower and people have forgotten about her? And then she comes back, and then usually, she comes into this season and the expectations are high again after winning the WTA finals, and now she's struggled.
Well, it looks like that could be the reason. I mean, if you look at the past and if you analyze the past, it's exactly that. So maybe it is. Maybe once she gets to that, she just puts too much pressure on herself, maybe puts her goal too high, or, I mean, I don't know, but I just know that watching her play to me is always very stressful, because I feel like she's really stressed out, and the level of enjoyment which you only playing well because you're having fun. You're not having fun and playing, you want to have fun to play well. Let's put it this way, and not the other way around. I'm playing well, so I'm having fun. That's not the way it works. And I don't feel like she's having fun. Even when she's winning, I mean, the smile comes in and it's almost like a release. It's like you see her face going, and then it goes. And it's very strange. It's like, whoa, it's two different persons. So, and for Sabalenka, listen, Sabalenka is the greatest player as well as she's the worst player on court. She's her own enemy because of the style of play. It's one-dimensional. There's nothing else. She's not going to have a plan B and not even close to having a plan C. It's A, and A. I am going to hit the ball as hard as I can. If I have a little bit more topspin today, great, it's going to be in. If not, bye-bye. My serve is the same. I mean, now she's tossing. I noticed that her ball toss was even higher than high. I mean, when you're watching it on the monitor, you all of a sudden you lose it. You don't see it on the monitor. That's telling you how high that toss is, when the camera is on the other side. So I don't know. I think herself also is her biggest challenge is her own self. Because there's not really wrong things about her serve. She does have an itch here and there, which she kind of stops and go. But listen, she was one of the best server on tour. So
yeah,
I mean, she had the highest amount of aces, I think, on tour, close to Pliskova. So I just think, it's got to be a lot mental. And, it's like once it rains, it pours. And the poor thing has been struggling with that serve. And it was horrible to watch, her going underhand serve. It's telling you how troubled you are when you just can't execute. It's horrible.
I want to ask you about Patrick Mouratoglou and Simona Halep connecting. Serena is going to be on the shelf long enough for that relationship to become a thing, at least for a little while until Serena comes back. So Halep goes from Darren Cahill, who left at the start of the year and is now taking a bit of a hiatus in Australia, to Patrick Mouratoglou. What were your thoughts on that move from Halep?
Well, I think Halep is smart. She just probably looked at a list of different coaches that were out there and who could help her the most with the experience that they have. I think Patrick is a very experienced, obviously, to say the least, coach. I think he knows the game. Many people, don't agree. Many people think that he got there just because, his father was rich. But if you actually read his book, you'll understand that, the guy, all he wanted to do was to play tennis when he was young, and his father didn't let him. And after he knew that he could never be on the pro tour because he was never good enough, because he never played, because he was not allowed to, figured out that, the next best thing is to be able to coach. And I think he's got great insights. I think Halep is always been in search of figuring out, what was best for tennis. I think Darren was one of the best coach for her. It worked. She wanted to go solo, didn't work out very well. She figured that one out very, very fast, which is great. She at least, was well aware that by not having a coach, she figured, well, this is really complicated and it's not helping my tennis either. So why not? I think Patrick could help her. I'm just sad not to see Serena coming back at some point soon, and I'd like to know, are you or are you not coming back? Really, right. That's the question. I said it last year. I thought that was the biggest mistake for her to play on the clay. I would have completely just forget the red clay and go straight to trying to get that title at Wimbledon, where she has the most chances to get the title. I thought that clay was probably the least amount of chances out of all four. But, now she's, I don't know. I mean, does she want to play? Does she want to come back? We don't know. Who knows?
It's hard to tell.
Yeah. I saw Jill Smaller was in, I think it was in Miami. She was watching, who was she watching? Oh, she was watching a match and I saw her in the box and I'm like, oh, cool to see that Jill Small, who is our agent, by the way, Serena's agent. I said, well, okay, she's around, she's watching, maybe. maybe we're gonna get Serena back. And I sure hope that Serena is able to come back and still trying for one more. But it won't be, it won't be, well, that's, it won't be the French, which
right.
We don't want that.
Yeah. We lost the picture.
I know. I'm trying to, somebody's trying to call me, which I really don't want to talk to. I'm busy. Hold on. There is. How's that?
All good. You're back.
Sorry about that.
Technology. That's okay.
I'm on my phone here. That's why.
So my question with Mouratoglou is how, besides, what he can offer as far as his tennis mind, are there things you get when you're under his tutelage or on his team in terms of the access he has with this major academy that a regular coach on tour, a traveling coach, you don't get that? Like, is there extra benefit to that, or is that not really entering the equation there? That's something I wonder about.
Well, I mean, I think that definitely the academy in Antibes, Nice, is where I'm from. Actually, I know that place very well. I used to train there when the coach of Yannick Noah used to be there as the head tennis director / coach. So I know that place very well, and it's a beautiful place. It's fantastic to get ready for Roland Garros for sure. It's, the clay is very similar. The weather is fantastic. So I think it's a plus. Plus, not only that, they have every single thing like cryotherapy. They have everything there that really to prepare, that really would help for her to get in the best possible shape before getting there. And, he's French, so he knows the ropes. He knows a lot of things about, being in Paris. Been there, done that, maybe a little bit more than Darren Cahill will know, because Darren was a player and it's Australian. At least you have that French connection, so to speak. But her agent, Virginia Rizici, lives in Paris, so she has all this too. She's one of the Romanian also who had won the French Open in the 70s. So yeah, I think in all, it can only be a positive, I think, reinforcement to be at the French Open. I'm assuming that she's going to be practicing, and she's probably in the south of France right now at the academy before playing Madrid and Rome, because she's playing Madrid and Rome, I believe. So, I think it's not a bad move at all to have Patrick there. Again, he knows what he's talking about. He really understands clay very well. He understands sliding very well. Different, obviously very different player to coach. We're going to opposite style. We're going to somebody who is more of an aggressive, somewhat baseliner, but really someone who really brings so many more balls back, whose movement is totally different than what Serena's movement was. More of a clay player than Serena would ever been. So it's different coaching, but he knows tennis very well. And I like the approach. I think he's a very calm and collected also guy. And yeah, I think it could be very good for a change. Also it's exciting to have a change in your camp for players. That's why you see them changing more often than before, because some players need to have kind of like more of a push of energy bursted in their camp, and I think he's going to be good energy, and I sure hope to see her play as well as she's been playing. She's such a great player on clay.
Halep hoping to get back into the top 10 before the end of the year. She said that was her goal at the start. So hopefully PMAC can help her do it. I want to end on the future, a stacked group of teenagers right now on the tour. maybe it's been this way before, but I can't really remember just so many that are exciting between Raducanu and Fernandez and Gauff and Clara Towson and Wang Xinyu, who's a newer one.
Yeah.
Of those names, is there someone who excites you the most, or a couple who excite you more than the others?
Let's not forget Linda Fruhvirtova.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, she's
and her sister to come.
She's like yeah. She's
well,
how old?
It's I think she's 16.
Yeah.
And their sister is like 14.
Mm-hmm.
She's like borderline to break into top 200 in the world. Again, the Czech school, it's like, where did they find these people? And they keep coming. It's like ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, those two, could they be better than the Williams sister? Think about this.
Fruhvirtova. So that's okay.
Yeah.
What
think about
for
it,
people who haven't watched her play? For people who haven't watched them play, how are they?
It's just that young to be just hitting the ball so well, and they've been professional since the age of 10. Okay, since the age of 10, these players, and talk about Patrick Mouratoglou, because they've been practicing and working at the academy. They have been programming their life as the professionals are programming their life after the juniors or in the juniors. Let's put it this way. This started very early. It's like, it's crazy, but the results are also as crazy. So those are the two to watch in the next year, 2 years. And again, could they be better than the Williams sisters? That's my question, which is a big ask, tall order to fill. But no, you talked about the under 20, with the Swiatek, the CoCo Gauff, Emma Raducanu was still, trying to find her ways. I think as wonderful, as amazing, as extraordinary as what she's done. It's like, where do you go from there?
It's tough. It's a tough situation.
Your failure. It's horrible.
It is.
How can you think about, like, anything else you do, by the way, is going to be a failure unless you win the next major, and and you don't even have to come from the qualify. No, you don't have to do it, but you only have 7 matches. Come on. After winning 10 to win the tournament, the US Open last year. So I think it's tough for her to be the level that she played, and all the stars really aligning, because in essence, who did she beat at the US Open comparing to Leylah Fernandez? It was not that she beat all these players. I mean, Leylah Fernandez really beat the players, the tops. So yes, she did win the US, but wow, it's tough. And give her time, because she's definitely quality and player. She just needs time, and the pressure is enormous. Clara Towson, unbelievable. I think that player is again, she's looking that there's so much room for progression again. I think physically she can be a lot better. I do think, CoCo Gauff, just also, it's the process, because she also can be on and off way too many times. So finding that constant and better, that's where I think it'll happen, because she's got game.
Yeah.
Crazy game.
Another question.
Go ahead.
Gauff, another question of how radically is she willing to change the technique? Because the forehand has been such an issue for her for a while. And do you stick with it?
Right. She changed a little bit already. So she's definitely open-minded to change. And I think it's working. It just takes time to, take place when you have, this is a sport that really has no time except what happened. And all the players could tell you how much they worked on their game during the pandemic and how beneficial it has been for many of them to be able to work on their game, where you don't have that. You have 3 weeks, a month. You're lucky. Who's going to change grip in a month. Good luck. Because then, it's going to take another 6 or 7 or 8 months to get in place in the tournament. It's very, very tough. Not many sports have that little time off where they can, most of them are really working physically because they want to be at the top of their, top shape to come back and go through the process of another 8 months, 9 months of ruling tournaments. So, yeah, I think CoCo is definitely open. I think, I think there are smart people around her. We haven't spoken about Osaka very much.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is amazing when you think about what happened. And what shocked me really, and I don't know if it's true because it's hearing, through the media, but she's the one who said it, is that after Indian Wells and the debacle of Indian Wells, where she was so completely output mentally by one person in the stands. Yep. And when you think about the amount of people who just scream at, the social media, and that she couldn't even function. She's so mentally frail. And that she mentioned at the end of the tournament that she was going to seek help. I'm going, what? You mean to tell me that since the French Open last year, you've yet to seek help with a psychologist? I mean, to me, if that's the truth, it's just absolutely, I can't understand it. I don't understand. I don't comprehend. I don't know. I don't know. Were you shocked, or did you, when you heard that, or?
I don't think I processed it like that, but now that you are framing it that way, yes. I mean, there are people who are trained professionally to help you mentally, and Osaka, to the extent that she was struggling, for her to not seek out those people who are professionally trained to help with that kind of thing, go to school for a long time to learn how to do it. Yeah, I mean, you're right.
I'm glad
surprising.
that it's happening now.
Yeah,
because I tell you, I mean, the tennis that this player has, it's beautiful. We need her on the tour, but we need her healthy, and mental health, as we all know, at least I know from having it and having gone through depression, it is horrible. It's a horrifying disease and illness, but it is obviously just like anything else. It's you can get help, and I'm glad that she's seeking help now. I hope that it's going to really make her into enjoying tennis again and life, to tell you the truth, because who cares about tennis? It's much deeper than that, much more important than that. So, yeah.
Yeah, we'll see her again in Madrid, I believe.
Yeah, and, I think Madrid, Rome, and the French. Yeah, which she wants to. She said she wants to really take the clay and learn on the clay, because it's definitely not her favorite surface. I think that, yeah, I mean, just the sliding itself, although she did play on the clay a lot when she was younger in Florida on the hard tour, let's say, but still, you have to learn and know how to slide. So hopefully she's mentally well, better, and can have fun, really.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and that's probably why I didn't bring her up, is because it feels like there's an uncertainty of whether or not she's even going to be competing. Besides competing well, competing not well, you just don't know. So yeah, hopefully, because you're right, the tour is a better place with her on it, and certainly she would be in the mix as one of those people who would be challenging Iga Swiatek's number one ranking.
Yeah, not to mention, the next major. So like,
yeah,
again, give me darts and I'll throw them in the air to try to find out who's going to be the next Roland Garros French Open champion. Good luck.
Yeah. Well, we will try, as always. Sophie, it's been great to have you on here. Really enjoyed this conversation, and hopefully we can do it again at some point.
Yeah, looking forward to it, and looking forward to seeing you in the US Open, if not before. I will be at the French on site. I don't know if you're taking the trip. No, unfortunately not.
No, well, unfortunately.
Then I will see you at the US Open. Looking forward to it, and thank you for having me.
Yes, see you in New York anytime, of course. Thanks.